Alright, let's get this done while there is some sunlight left. Well, actually not really sunlight, although it is produced by the sun, it's more like daylight. That's the word I was looking for. Let's get this done while there is some daylight left. It's going to be dark pretty soon and I don't have any good studio light, so I prefer shooting with the natural light provided by the sun. So I will kinda rush this video a little bit. And apologies in advance, this will not be the cinematic video that I intended to put out every second week. I just didn't have any time so far to edit the video that I recorded last weekend. So I decided that for this video I will take you along with me on a very interesting or also very boring hour of research. Well, this video won't be 1 hour long, but I will do 1 hour of research and of course I will speed it up. You guys are so great that you shouldn't waste any minute watching me doing boring stuff. But let's start with the most important thing. That's getting coffee. Ha, got you there, you expected a cinematic sequence, didn't you? But no, as I said, no cinematic sequence this time. I don't have time to do anything. I'm filming this now at 4 p.m. almost and I intend to upload it by 8 or 9 p.m. So nothing special this time. But I've got the most important thing here. Coffee. So let's start this actually. I'm actually just kidding. Oof. First, let me check if I'm still recording. Alright, I'm actually still recording and it seems like it's getting even darker outside while I've been doing this little sketch. It's not like I haven't been doing any research, yes, I have been doing research into some stuff that I don't want to go into right now at the moment. But I guess this is also the time to give you a little update on how the preparations are faring. Faring? Is that a word? I think so, maybe? Well, who knows? Well, anyways, I've actually been doing a lot of research the last few days. Well, a lot of research during the time that I had. You could also argue that during that time I could have edited the other video and maybe I would have been able to upload it, but to be honest I was really tired after work both days and I really couldn't be bothered to do any editing. Anyways, how far have I come? Monitor is pretty bright, maybe I get some light from the monitor. I don't know how that will look, but anyways. Last time I told you that we will be starting in Iceland instead of Greenland and that we will only be spending 1 night in Iceland and that I hope to see the blue whales, just for a recap. And also that after Iceland we will probably go on to Vancouver. Vancouver specifically because I thought that for the around the world trip you could only move in one direction, which isn't completely true, but I will get into that a little bit later. And also because the flights from Iceland to Vancouver are pretty reasonably priced. I think I wrote it down somewhere. Yeah, it's about $850 for 2 persons to fly from Reykjavik to Vancouver. I think LA would be quite a bit more, although now that there are some updates that I will tell you about later, let me check how much it would cost to go directly to LA, if it is even possible, I don't know. Reykjavik, and just a little tip, whenever you want to look for flights, use the Google Flights. I think it's just great because you can see so many things and it really shows you the lowest rates without risking to get higher prices just because you are looking for the same flight every single time. Yes, and companies do that. If they see that your IP address or your browser or whatever, I'm not an IT guy, but if they see that you are looking for the same flights every day, they will artificially increase the prices so that you pay more. Always use a VPN if possible. Use incognito mode on your browser to book flights, but certainly use Google Flights to get the best prices that are actually available at the specific date, and you can also compare different days and different destinations. Well, it's a bit complicated to explain, so do it yourself. So yeah, it's almost $1,300 to get from Reykjavik to Los Angeles with one stop, almost 8 hours layover in Seattle. So I don't think that's worth it. The other option would of course be Toronto. I guess it's cheaper than going to Vancouver. That would only be about $700, so I'd save about $150 compared to going to Vancouver. But how much is it to get to LA from Toronto? Yeah, 460. So yeah, sorry, a lot of rambling, but going from Reykjavik to Vancouver and then from Vancouver to LA is actually the cheapest option that there is, because you can get from Vancouver to LA for about 219 francs for 2 persons, for 2 people. So that's Reykjavik to LA for a total of about $1,060 with a few days in Western Canada in between. We will spend about 2 weeks in LA. Well, not in LA. It will be mostly in the national parks that are around there, like the Sequoia National Park, the King something National Park, Yosemite, and there are other national parks. I don't remember all the names at the moment. I would also go to the Death Valley just to experience it. It will be summer though, so it's gonna be insanely hot, but it's still possible to go there. After that region, we will go to Mexico. That didn't change, but we will probably be spending more time in Mexico than initially intended, probably around 2 weeks, and we will rent a car and drive around there. There's this company from Germany that's called erlebe fernreisen, and we already traveled with them twice, once to Thailand and once to Malaysia, and we were really happy with them. And so we will probably use that company again to travel around Mexico, because I've seen something for a very good price. And after Mexico, we will be skipping Costa Rica, sadly. There are 2 reasons. First, Costa Rica seems to be more expensive to Mexico when doing similar things. And the turtle rescue stuff that we wanted to do, you can only do that for like 1 or 2 weeks at a time, and usually it's at least 2 weeks at a time, and you don't really know where you will be posted. And as far as I've seen, you cannot apply 2 people to the same place, so you have to apply separately. That would mean that we would be separated for about 2 weeks and we wouldn't know where. And anyways, we're skipping Costa Rica, and after Costa Rica, I don't know where we are going exactly, not yet. We are still planning to do the Inca Trail. We are still planning to go to Galapagos. Let me check the map. We are still planning to spend a few nights in a jungle, but it doesn't have to be in Brazil. It might also be in Ecuador or in Bolivia. It's also possible over there, as far as I've seen. We still intend to go to Patagonia and to see the Iguazu Falls. But going back to the around the trip ticket that I mentioned earlier, that might be something that interests you if you ever plan to travel around the world. Last time I've said that you can only move in one direction, either from west to east or from east to west. And that's only partially true. Man, I don't even know if you can see me. It's getting pretty dark. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I think the screen is bright enough. The screen is way brighter at the moment than it is outside. I don't know how it looks color-wise, but at least you should be able to see me. At least concerning the around the world trip with Star Alliance, which is the one that we would use if we decide to do that, which we probably will, more on that later, that you have like 3 regions. It's the region America, North, Central and South America. Then you have the region Europe, Africa, and region Asia and Oceania. Asia and Australia, New Zealand, and all those islands in between. Within those regions, you can travel however you wish. It doesn't matter if it's west to east or east to west. Just that between regions, you can only move in one direction. So, last time I said that we would be starting in Vancouver, but right now I actually think that, sorry, I moved the mic, I think, and that probably sounded bad for you. Sorry about that. So this time, I think that we will start our around the world trip if we book it in Los Angeles, just because getting back to Los Angeles and then flying home from there is actually an easier option than doing it from Vancouver. And the flights from Vancouver to LA are pretty cheap, so that won't really make a big difference in the total cost. Now, of course, as far as I've checked, if we do the around the world trip, we will pretty much do the maximum that is allowed. I think it's 36,000 or 39,000 miles. And that reaches about $14,000, if I understand it correctly, of course. And then, of course, there's Africa, which I'm really looking forward to, because we are aiming to take two very big challenges. One, climbing the Kilimanjaro, and two, taking a about 3 weeks safari in Southern Africa. But of course, those things are not very cheap. Climbing the Kilimanjaro depends on which company to take, but if you take a good company with good records and good reviews, you are paying about $2,200 to $2,800 for the climb. Of course, that's 6 days or 7 days of hiking respectively. That's also including the porters that will carry stuff for you, all the food that you will be eating, I think even some nights in hotels, transportation that's needed, and of course the guides that are a very important part of that hike. And the other thing is the Botswana or the Southern Africa Safari. I always wanted to go to Botswana because it's special in the sense that it's not that crowded as other safaris, especially Kenya, I think, is very crowded. But when I started researching it, first I was really shocked, and I almost thought that I had to call it off, because I was reading things about $1,000 per person per night is to be expected when doing a Botswana safari. That would mean for 3 weeks over $40,000 for 2 people. But that's actually not completely true, because that's if you go to lodges. But if you do a self-drive safari with a roof tent on your car, which is the way that we intended to do, you can get away for less than $10,000 for 2 weeks, all in all for 2 people. That's including the car, the food, the entrance fees, all the other fees that you have that I don't know right now from the top of my head. And that's gonna be actually the most expensive part of our world trip, but I think it's pretty much worth it. I've always had that dream, and even though there was a time that my wife said no, she didn't want to do it because she's pretty scared, I actually think that we reach a point where she's also looking forward to it. Still a little bit scared, of course, but I think she will enjoy it. It's actually how far we got at the moment. I didn't plan anything for Asia so far. Well, anyways, that's all I wanted to say for now. Sorry that I didn't give you the promised cinematic video, but it was only a research video. Well, research video, more like an update video on Let's Travel the World Together. My favorite title. My wife says it's very cheesy, but whatevs. I want to include you guys, you know. Now it's time to put this stuff, the XQD card in here, into my computer with the adapter, move everything onto my beautiful NVMe SSD drive, edit it, upload it, and hopefully I'm done by 8 or 9 p.m. And I still have to have dinner in between. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.